one and all at OtCon 2020, non-locally, at home, socially distant. My name is Christian Swenson. I am autistic on the autism spectrum, an autist, I guess you could say. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, but that's no longer a thing. And today I wanted to talk to y'all about my personal feeling, my personal experiences about the nature of autism. And you think, well, that's kind of a vague statement. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, I want to explain to y'all, not just y'all autistic people, but y'all neurotypical people, what autism feels like. You know, because there's this famous story by, what's his name, David Foster Wallace, where he talks about a fish who asks another fish, how's the water? And then the other fish says, what's water? You know, because he's swimming in the water all the time, and he doesn't know what it is. As autistic people, we swim in the water all the time, and we don't know what it is. We swim in autism. And, you know, I've heard so many cases, read so many autistic autobiographies, where people like Temple Grandin or Donna Williams will say, I thought everybody experienced the world this way. And then they find out that no, they don't. And, you know, this is something that neurotypical people experience too. They find, there's a whole bunch of videos on YouTube about people with aphantasia, people who can't use mental pictures, or people with who can't use an inner voice. And they're like, they find it crazy that people have this superpower where they can use pictures or have a voice in their head. And, you know, like, what's going on there? But I thought it would be useful in that context, you know, to kind of delve really deep down into what's obvious for at least me as an autistic person in a way that isn't obvious because it's so obvious. You know, like the water is to a fish, or like the air is to us, or like my glasses are to me. You know, take the glasses off. Let's look at them. See if we can look at what's so obvious that it isn't obvious, like my glasses. And I guess the best way to get into that is to use a kind of a story, actually from last OtCon. Actually, was it OtCon? No, it was something else. But I was talking with, what's his name, Jared at Scenic View, at some event, and I was asking him, you know, do you ever get the feeling that, because he's on the spectrum, do you ever get the feeling that, you know, you were in the wrong relationship with your body? And he says, yes. And he asked me a question. He says, have you ever dreamt that you're in the passenger seat of a car and there's nobody in the driver's seat? You're riding in passenger, you're riding in shotgun, you're relaxing, you're okay. And you look over, there's nobody driving. It's on the car. It's like, holy cow, this thing could go really bad, really quick. Of course, he never noticed that it's been doing fine just until now. But, you know, you get real scared. And I said, yes, I was actually a bit surprised. How do you know about my dreams? And he says, you know, I think that's autism. Because I have that dream a lot. And, you know, because it's the feeling that, you know, with autism you get you might expect, like, it's just normal. This is just normal. We don't know anything else. But, you know, even though on a certain level what I said is true about the glasses, you know, there's a certain level of dis-ease that is normal to autism. You know, we get the feeling that, you know, like, this isn't right. There's something amiss in our experience of the world, of our own bodies. You know, like realizing I'm in the passenger seat and there's nobody driving. Well, the thing is that I get the feeling that if you were to answer that question about what autism feels like, it's to say that it's the feeling of being in a passenger seat of a car and nobody's driving. And what do I mean by that more specifically? You know, that's just a metaphor. That's just an image. Well, what does it mean to drive a car? Let's ask that question. I know some of you drive, I'm sure some of you don't drive, but we could also say, you know, like, what is the experience of driving? Well, are you inside the internal combustion engine of the car? Are you in the radiator? Are you in the engine? No, you're not doing any of those things. You don't have to be a mechanic or a technician or an engineer to drive a car. You just need to know how to do this thing. But, you know, it doesn't mean you don't have to drive it. We don't have self-driving cars yet. So it's some kind of mixture, the experience of driving a car, between, you know, things taking care of themselves and doing things manually. And so so the experience of driving a car is the experience of being in control of your own direction. Let's say that. It's the feeling of knowing what direction you're going in, knowing where you're going, knowing how fast you're going, knowing how going, and being in control. It's the feeling of being your own owner. And it's the feeling of deciding where you're going to go. And I do get the feeling that with autism, that's not entirely the case, because we're in the passenger seat. And it's I do get the feeling in that sense that I'm a passenger in my own body. Doesn't mean, of course, that I'm just watching my body, like go in random directions. That's not what I mean. I mean, instead, it's like I have to kind of reach over and kind of do that because I'm not in the space where I'm inside myself. And that's a crucial metaphor. That's a crucial way of looking at it. Now, this might not be making any sense, so let me use another metaphor. I would say that the experience of being autistic, at least for me, is the experience of being outside myself. In the same way that, being in the passenger seat of a car is like being outside the driver's seat, but still, being tagged along by whatever is driving that actually isn't there. I'm outside myself. What does that mean? How can I be outside myself? How can I stand outside what I am? Well, how does that work? How can I be outside what I am? Well, let's think about it a little bit. If there's nothing stopping you being in the passenger seat of a car and just letting it go, it's not a good idea. It's not impossible. But I want to ask this question. Are you yourself? Maybe, maybe not. But let's ask another question. Do you have to be inside yourself? What does that even mean, to be inside myself? What does that even mean to say that, I must be inside myself, or that doesn't make any sense? No, let's for instance, let's look at a definition of the word inside. Look at any dictionary, and you're going to see that, you're going to find that any definition of the word inside is something like on the interior part or on the inner part. It just gives synonyms. It doesn't really give a definition. In fact, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any definition of the word inside that doesn't use a synonym or another word that means inside. It's something that, it's a very core part of our experience that we have no words for except inside. It's like, how do you define that? And you think, like, what does it mean? Do you have to be inside yourself? Why can't you be outside yourself? Is there anything that prohibits that? Is there anything that says, no, cosmic laws say nothing can be outside of itself? No, things can be outside of themselves. Why not? I'm outside of myself. I'm piloting myself from the passenger seat. I'm piloting myself maybe from outside the car, reaching in. Because that's the feeling, is that it might be easier to drive myself if I were on the inside. I might not have to be as panicked. I might not have to be as desperate, as clumsy as I am, but it's not impossible. I've got a very thin thread. I'm on the top and I'm trying to get to the steering wheel. That's the feeling. I'm outside myself. I'm beside myself. And this is a metaphor we use sometimes in language. We say I'm beside myself, or I wasn't myself, or I was. People with near-death experiences say I was watching my body from the outside. And, it's an experience we have in literature. There's a third-person perspective. There is, in video games, you have a third-person perspective. And, I think that's another way of saying what autism feels. What autism feels like is it feels like, a third-person video game. I'm outside my body and I'm controlling it, but I'm not it. Am I me? Maybe, in one sense, but in another sense, no, I'm not me. I'm the player. I'm not the character. What you see here is the character. I'm not that. I look in the mirror, and I don't see me, I see my avatar. And I'm not my avatar. And I think I would probably be more neurotypical if I figured out a way, to be my avatar, to live inside my avatar, so that I was my avatar, to drive my car from the driver's seat. But I'm not. But there's some cool things that come with that, being not yourself. It's scary to drive the car from the passenger seat because, it's like, what's going on? It's like, am I actually real? Is this a real world? Am I real? Am I you? Am I me? What does the word I mean? Am I you? It's like self and other. What's that? But it's cool because it means that you're not. You don't have to be just one person. Well, let's put it another way. It's like there's this woman. Her name is Donna Williams. She recently died. She's an autistic writer. She was an autistic writer, and she wrote about in a few of her books about how she could direct herself at anything. She could feel being, a whiteboard that I'm not writing on for some reason. She could feel being a candle, and she could live inside the candle. And that's what I mean by being outside yourself, is that if you're looking at a candle and you're looking at the flame, why can't you be the flame? Why can't you be the flame of the candle if you're looking at it? I mean, there's no reason that the body, which you can't see, by the way, it's always behind the camera. Why are you that and not the thing you can see? What's the matter there? And so that's kind of the beauty of autism, is that you can be anything if you're looking at it. I think that's part of what obsession is. Special interest is that we direct ourselves at the external world, at things that aren't our bodies, and we live inside them. And I think that's why change is so difficult for us, or changes in routines, or changes in furniture or whatever, is because we live inside the furniture, we live inside the room, we live inside the routine, and if you mess that up, it's like trying to take an eyeball out of you. It's like, nope, don't do that. That's violation. And so it's like, it's difficult because on one level that's true, but on another level you have to move. We have to be living beings with bodies that move from one place to another, and on one level that's traumatic for every autistic person. It is because you have to abandon the thing you're living in to move. You have to become yourself in order to move, and we don't like that. And that's why eye contact is also hard for us, is because if you look at us in the eye, we're suddenly made to be our bodies. And as a friend put it once, it masses us. It makes us have mass. It makes us have body. And it's a bit uncomfortable. It really is. Because I think there's something we're running away from. I do. I don't know what it is. It might be different for each one of us, but there's something in the experience of having a body that is highly uncomfortable, that we are afraid of. And, that's something to tackle with. And I think it is a project that we could have, is to, like work our way into our bodies, feel the terror that we're hiding from by, retreating from our bodies, being outside ourselves. And it might just be, the intense sensory world we experience, or I don't know, it could be some trauma, because, the symptoms of PTSD and autism are more similar than most people like to admit. Repetitive behavior, disembodiment, that kind of thing. And it's it's a real difficult thing, because you ask the question is, would it feel good to be in my body? And it's like, yeah, it would feel a lot better. It would feel really good. It would feel really damn good. And I don't feel that good about in that way. And this is the same friend once said that it's like Pirates of the Caribbean. Those cursed skeletal pirates who say, we no matter how much food we eat or wine we drink, the hunger is never sated. We never experience the quenching of thirst. It's like we're always more and more hungry and more thirsty. And it's because I think our bodies are where that stuff is met, and we experience that. And I think if we don't figure out a way to, work our way into our bodies in some way, we're gonna find roundabout ways to, experience those things. And it can be ugly sometimes. This is something I'm still working through, obviously. I've been thinking through this a lot, but I suppose I could come up with some practical tips, I suppose, here at the end, for ways to use this information. Any idea that doesn't become an ideal kills the force in your soul. So let's have some ideals. Let's have some concrete practices we could do to embody this information. So, for instance, I would encourage you, as an autistic person, to when you look at someone outside of you, and do this. Tell yourself and ask yourself, well, what's stopping me from being them? Why am I not them? Not in like a desperation way, but thinking, could I actually be them? Am I actually that person? If I'm looking at that person, do I know like, am I actually that person? Could I actually be that person? And like experience the feeling of, like living inside their legs, living inside their arms, see the way they move with their arms and their legs, and step inside of it with yourself and see like, wouldn't that feel good to, like move in the way that they move? And that would be awesome. And then all of a sudden you found that you've kind of caught some of the feeling of their body. You've inhabited it, and so you brought it into your body, and you suddenly feel like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good here. And like maybe you can do that with all sorts of things, like all sorts of different people. Especially when you do that enough, you get the feeling like you've caught that. And this is something I'm still working on because it's hard. It's hard, especially because there's this feeling of terror that lives in the body. I'd also encourage you on that point to look at yourself in the mirror more. Am I encouraging narcissism? I mean, a lot of autistic people do look in the mirror, but what I mean is look in the mirror and have the feeling like maybe I'm that thing. Maybe I am the thing in the mirror. And wouldn't that feel good? I mean, maybe you don't like the way you look, but I don't think that's the real reason that we hide from ourselves. It's because we don't want to be a thing. But there is a part of you, I'm pretty sure, that actually does really want to be the thing in the mirror, and you're repressing that part. Maybe if you were to look in the mirror and you were to say, like, wouldn't it feel great to be that thing? Like snug inside a body. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to always carry yourself with you, to be snug inside yourself, and to wrap yourself in a big blanket of you? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that feel great? It just gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? And you're like, wouldn't that be awesome? And I'm doing all these feelings because that's what it feels like. And I think that's what Temple Grandin was doing when she had that deep pressure machine, is she was stimulating the feeling of being inside yourself, like being snug inside yourself. And like maybe you were to, if you were to, like get that feeling of like, oh, I'm carrying myself with me all the time, and you were to combine it with, the feeling of, like I'm carrying the feeling that I'm catching from other people, you could actually feel the way that you don't have to constantly check up on yourself. You don't have to constantly like, am I real? Am I really real? Am I real? Well, you're real because you're here. You're snug inside yourself, and you're this thing that yourself is snug inside. You're both of the things, and you're safe. You're I. I am me. I am. I am that I am. And things are okay. Snug and safe in an ego, in the good sense. Meaning I am. And you are. You're real. And I'm real too. And we are real. And that's the beauty at the end, is that when you see that you're real, and when you see that the other is real, you see that there's no stopping you living in both the self and the other. I mean, maybe not in the same way as I mentioned earlier, but the feeling that there's a kind of a breathing process that happens where it's kind of like a ball of light kind of can, and this is actually good practice, is to imagine a ball of light going from your chest to the other and feel yourself living in that. Like I am her, I am me. I am her, I am me. My wife and me, and it's like you get the feeling like I'm not trapped by this. I'm not just trapped in a tiny box. There's a bigger box where I am not just myself, but I am you too. And I live in a body, and the body is shared. Multiple bodies that are both ours. Some thoughts, some feelings, some impressions that I shared with you. I suppose that's that. All right, take care. I'll talk to you later.